good Sunday afternoon. I have decided to do a story as a letter this week, partly because the hours just disappear. Something's taken too much time, and it's just not allowing me time to do many things, other things that I like to do. Anyway, I will read to you the story as written. I see somebody contacted me and said they missed me reading this story. I'm sure some people don't, but I'll do it for those that quite like the audio version. So it's described as when a letter covers a multitude of sins. Dear friend, I always wondered how tradespeople estimate their time and price, and how often they end up out of time but with the same price. How I wish I gave my own estimates rather than another. The other has a vested interest in getting as much out of me as I try to get out of the washing up liquid. This has meant I don't have the time to do what I normally do. I signed up for a course the other week and I didn't complete the first session. Last Sunday after the Quakers, I came home to get ready for a Zoom call at 2 p.m. with the Jerusalem Summer School group. Zoom has been with me for a year and I still get excited at pressing the button that takes me to another place without leaving home. You know, as a 12-year-old, I used to sit in my mother's living room, believing somehow I could teleport myself to another place. It never happened then, but it's happening now. Many of our group are in Canada, with the remainder of us coming in from England, the United States, and occasionally others join us from Austria and the Philippines. Jerusalem, Palestine, Israel was on our minds. We had our usual outline, but it became a meeting more about the situation. I've never met these folks physically, yet over 10 months we have met something has happened. That should read, and I'm going to do a correction as I sit here. Over the months we have met, as we have met. This is live, isn't it? As we have met, something has happened. One of our number, who originates from the Middle East, gave us a personal account. We were all moved. Whatever our thoughts are about Israel-Palestine, I believe we all felt we couldn't only pray, but also listen to the promptings in prayer to act. This has been my own recent experience when I felt I should write to the UK government concerning the situation facing the families at Sheikh Jarrah, which is in East Jerusalem. I've also felt moved to give to Medical Aid for Palestinians, the charity. I say that more to give an example of prayer being a means to act, which I think is what I've learned, rather than just praying, which I guess is fine, but the notion that prayer is an action, that when we pray, something will happen, or we will be guided to do something, that it's not simply, oh, I'll pray for the situation, that there will be a prompting come, whether to give support through finances or through a letter, or practically if you're able. It's been through my involvement with the Elijah Institute based in Jerusalem that my awareness was raised about prayer being a place where our actions begin. It's been in praying together for Jerusalem that my connections to the place and the people have deepened. At an event not directly sponsored by Elijah, I heard someone say, "We need justice for peace." I've heard that many times over the years, but the impact when I heard it on that occasion remained with me. We can pray together for peace, but if in the praying we hear of the need to do justice, we must be faithful. On Monday, I attended again via Zoom our monthly discussion group. A friend presented her ideas around our relationship with art and spirituality. The central piece she used was Aslam Kiefer's Quaternity. It's a drawing of three fires in an attic and a serpent. And where you see an underline on any of the words in the story, the written story, if you click on it, it'll bring you to a connected piece, or in this case, the piece of art. I would really take time to wait in a gallery, but as we waited as a group on this piece, I began to appreciate the symbolism of art. I find myself trying to read the symbols as I would words, asking myself the question, what comes to mind when I see this? I welcome the idea that the artist reveals what they see without censorship. Pretty vulnerable though. Do you hear these sighs? I rise early to begin early to get all those jobs done in an attempt to protect my weekend. Some days I don't get outside until early evening. So intent am I in trying to contain what has to be done within the week. You can imagine how I feel when I fail to contain it and it spills into my weekend. I have enough time between stopping and going to bed to eat something, take a walk to the lake nearby, make the odd call or watch something. BBC Radio 3 keeps me company morning, noon and night. It is a great radio station and much more diverse than people think. But the one thing about it is quiet, and it only gives news bulletins, I think, 3 times a day. And I can't be doing with listening to news on the hour anymore. A dissertation was due this week. You can guess it wasn't mine. I spent time reading it and making suggestions. I hadn't intended to spend the hours between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. on Wednesday night, Thursday morning on Microsoft Teams, but I learned a lot from the author, particularly about her writing, but also about the impact of the global pandemic on women working in the financial sector, alongside the other barriers for women working in the financial sector, particularly if they're pregnant, a mum, and black. On Wednesday night, I joined the Global Meeting for Worship, which is based in America, although we're all on Zoom. And the hour of the stillness offers breath to my soul. Much needed breath to my soul. I've noticed how WhatsApp keeps me connected to friends. I do find phone calls demanding too much of me during the week, and then at weekends when I think I'm going to make those calls, I just want to enjoy the silence. I usually phone my father on a Monday night, but if I'm too busy, it falls to the next day. Usually I get to him by the Wednesday, but this week it was Thursday. And I have to get to him before the football starts at 8 p.m, or then I have to wait until after it finishes at 10 p.m. Although it's by phone, I often think of talking to him in one of the pub snugs. Yes, that word, pub snug. If you don't know what it means, you're going to have to look it up. Pub snug. So what I was saying, when I'm talking to him on the phone, I often think of talking to him in a pub snug. And it gives me a chance to speak the language of home. And what I mean by that is the language that I grew up with, the way we speak, the content of our conversations, the accent. Yes, this accent can be even more broader than what you might think. If I have feelings of dread on Monday, by Friday I'm excited that I've survived another week. I usually make one of my 2 weekly shops in the early evening, returning in time for Woodbrook. Woodbrook's not a TV program, but it's another one of those mostly silent Quaker meetings on Zoom. It starts at 9 p.m. and somehow it's a great way to close the week. If there's a treat, it's the Friday night film. This week I decided to watch one on iPlayer called The City of Lights. Just as I was looking at this, I read a review that someone else that watched it wrote, and I agree with them, and I would have said the same thing myself. So, given that they've said it, too much double bourbon and ice, and the guy is forever on cigarettes. Watch it and tell me how many times he orders a double bourbon and ice. It seemed to me like the BBC feel the need to stick in an American in order to sell the film to the US. Maybe I'm too familiar, and I would have appreciated it better watching it in a cinema in the US. I have come to feel something otherworldly between sunset Friday and sunrise Saturday. I rise again early, determined to get finished what should have been finished a day ago. A friend's invited me for brunch, so that spurs me on. It's while I'm sitting in the street cafe in St Albans, it could almost be the kitchen of a favourite aunt, that I realise it's the first time I've been inside a cafe since Christmas. The streets are full, as are the roads. It is as if the height of the summer season has arrived in a seaside resort. St Albans is no seaside resort. As the week ended, I was glad to see that the ceasefire was holding in the Holy Land. Maybe because I'm so glad there's a ceasefire in Northern Ireland as well. And anybody that knows me will know that when I think of Israel-Palestine, I'm always thinking Northern Ireland as well. Indeed, I said to somebody today, it's almost like you want to say Stroke City. And he said to me, what do you mean Stroke City? I said, well, there's contention about Derry, Londonderry, whether you call it Derry, whether you call it Londonderry, and some people just call it Stroke City, Derry stroke Londonderry. So it's beginning to feel like that with Israel-Palestine stroke country. So I was saying I was glad to see the ceasefire holding in the Holy Land. But now it gives us time to renew our support for justice that brings peace. And notice I'm saying justice, I'm not taking sides. I discovered this a few years ago, that it's about justice. It's not about taking sides, it's about justice. And indeed, where we can find the time, we need to support justice everywhere that it is being denied. In writing, I'm thinking of all the people I know who I seem to have so little time to communicate. Forgive me. And may this attempt let you know what is going on, and that I carry you with me. I have this thought that the people that know what I mean by that will know that I'm carrying them with me. So, best as always, G.